Leaving Mark wasn't just a breakup. It felt more like an escape. We were together for 4 years, and the first 2 were almost perfect. He was charming, thoughtful, even romantic in a kind of old-school way. But over time, that attention turned obsessive. He didn't like me hanging out with friends. Didn't like when I wore anything he thought would draw attention. And when he started showing up at my job unannounced just to check on me, I knew something was off. The final straw was when I found out he'd installed a tracking app on my phone. I didn't even know those things could run in the background, hidden. He claimed it was to keep me safe, but the truth was obvious. He wanted control. He wanted to monitor everything. So I left. I moved out while he was at work, took only what I needed, left the rest behind, including the apartment we'd shared. I crashed with a friend for a while, switched my number, and blocked him everywhere. For a moment, it felt like I could breathe again. That feeling didn't last. About 2 weeks after I left, I started getting calls again. Private numbers, always late at night. At first, they'd hang up after a few seconds. Then came the heavy breathing. Then came the whispers. The first time I heard it, I was half asleep. I answered out of habit, and I heard someone whisper, "You can't hide from me." I froze. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I bought a new phone, but the calls continued. I told myself it could have been a coincidence, maybe a prank. But deep down, I knew better. I knew him. I knew how far he could go. So I made the only decision that made sense. I moved across the country. A cousin in Oregon offered me a room while I got back on my feet. I took it. Drove halfway across the US with everything I owned packed in my trunk. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Not my old coworkers, not even some of my closest friends. Just my mom and my cousin. That was it. And for a while, it worked. No calls, no signs, no whispers in the dark. I thought I had finally outrun him. But that's the thing about people like Mark. You never really know how close they still are, until it's far too late. The first 3 months in Oregon were peaceful. I started a new job at a local cafe, quiet and low-key, exactly what I needed. My cousin gave me space, but made sure I wasn't isolating myself too much. Slowly, I started to feel like a person again, instead of someone constantly looking over her shoulder. I even started going for evening walks. There's this trail near the house that winds through a patch of woods and ends at a small lake. I'd take my headphones, breathe in the pine-scented air, and tell myself it was finally over. Then the package came. It was a plain brown box, taped carefully, with no return address. I didn't think much of it. My cousin often ordered things online, and sometimes had them sent to my name if she wasn't home. But when I opened it, my heart stopped. Inside was a necklace. Not just any necklace, my necklace. The silver one with the tiny star charm Mark had given me for my birthday 2 years ago. I hadn't seen it since I left. I actually thought I'd lost it during the move, but here it was, in perfect condition, sitting right in the center of the box, like it had been carefully placed. Underneath was a folded note, typed. No signature, no handwriting. Found this. Thought you'd want it back. You always looked so pretty when you wore it. I dropped it like it burned me. I felt the walls close in. I hadn't told anyone where I was, not online, not in a message, no posts, no photos, no tags. I'd been so careful. So how? I tried to stay rational. Maybe he found out through my mom, but she didn't even know my exact address. Just the general area, and even if somehow, he did find me, why the necklace? Did he keep it all this time? Was he in my house? That night, I barely slept. Every creak in the floorboards upstairs made my skin crawl. I kept all the lights on, knife under my pillow, window locked, bedroom door closed. I kept telling myself it was just a scare tactic, that maybe he mailed it from miles away, just to mess with my head. But then, the next night, I saw something that shattered that hope completely. When I left for my morning shift the next day, I noticed it, a cigarette butt, still warm, right outside my bedroom window. I stood there for a full minute just staring at the cigarette butt. It was fresh, still warm to the touch when I crouched down, like someone had been standing there just minutes before I stepped outside. The worst part? Mark didn't even smoke, until I started trying to quit. He picked it up just to spite me, said it was a reminder that I didn't control him. And now, here it was again. That same brand, same sick game. I didn't go to work that day. I called in, locked all the doors and windows, and sat on the couch with a kitchen knife in my lap. My cousin wasn't home. She was on a weekend trip with friends, so I was alone, completely alone. Around 2 p.m., I finally called the police. I didn't want to, but something in me said this wasn't just intimidation anymore. This was escalation. I told them everything about the necklace, the note, the cigarette. They sent someone out, took a report, said they'd increase patrols in the area. But I could see it in the officer's eyes. No threats, no direct contact, no evidence that Mark was even in the state. Legally, their hands were tied. That night, I pushed a chair against my bedroom door and left every light in the house on. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up to the sound of my bedroom window slowly sliding open. I didn't move. I didn't scream. I just lay there, heart pounding, eyes wide in the dark. There was a pause. No sound, no footsteps, just breathing. Then the soft rustle of someone stepping into the room. I reached for the knife under my pillow and gripped it tight. I don't remember the exact moment I screamed. I just remember swinging wildly in the dark, hearing something crash, and then the sound of feet scrambling across the floor. The chair fell over, the front door slammed. When the police arrived 20 minutes later, he was gone. But he had been there. They found boot prints under the window, a glove left behind, and tucked beneath my pillow, where my knife had been, was a note I didn't put there. You were right to run, but I'm always just a step behind. I moved again, out of state this time, took a new name, new job. I don't tell people where I live, I don't post, I don't trust easily anymore.